Ah, good morning. Okay, guys, as the liberal hive mind would say, we got a lot to get into. So let's roll the tape. Besides, I have a lot to do today if I want a Sunday dinner tomorrow. Back in 2008, I wrote an article warning about how Islam would spread into British politics. I predicted that they would first get into the Labour Party, but eventually, when their numbers became large enough, they would resign the whip and become independents and eventually create their own Islamic Party. All this has come to pass. If you want to know the person to blame for that and for what is to come, stick around to the end. Yes, this is a cliffhanger article. I need you to watch to the end to help make this channel grow. Excuse me. Remember, there are 650 members of parliament in the UK. Most of them are crooks, many of them are perverts, and only a few are what I would call honourable men. After the last election, 25 Muslims from enclave settlements, colonies, call them what you will, were elected, and they are now a political bloc, a serious political bloc. They do not vote on policies, they vote as a tribe. These numbers have almost doubled since the last election and will continue to do so election after election as the Muslim population grows in numbers. We now have more Muslim MPs than any other European parliament. This problem, and it is a problem, needs to be resolved because it is not going to go away. As well as their MPs, Muslims now have influence in another 60 constituencies where their vote can, or could in the past at least, decide whether a Tory MP or Labour MP was returned to Parliament. So by now you should see the danger to what passes for democracy in the UK. 99% of the uni-party politicians would sell their grannies to stay in power and keep their snouts buried in the public-funded trough of money they feed from. So they will have to make concession after concession to the Muslim bloc to retain power. First, they will cave into demands for Sharia law. Then they will cave into demands to police their own areas. Then they will cave in to demands not to stop the cruel practice of halal slaughter. And there will be demand after demand after demand, like the one for an airport to be built in Pakistan. And all the time behind it will be the hint of civil unrest if these demands are not met. And our cowardly politicians will cave into them. Grim stuff, eh, guys? Because of the planned replacement of the British people, there are now also 25 Indian and other non-white politicians elected, and they also have demands. And for concessions, I can't say that. Concessions that are never in the interests of the British people. Now, people say it was an act of Parliament in or around 1948 that allowed people who were not born of British stock to be elected, and that is true. But people who were British citizens from around the world, from the British colonies, and we had a lot, could stand for Parliament. But if you want to know where our problem really began, you have to go further back to 1858. In the 19th century, British law required members of Parliament to swear a Christian oath, including the words, "on the true faith of a Christian." This meant that Jews and others who were not Christians, they never even thought about Muslims back then. They just didn't think of the Muslims. This meant that Jews who were not Christian could not take their seats in Parliament, even if they were to be elected by the voters. Yes, they could lie about their religion, but if the lie was discovered, then that was perjury and they could be removed. But here's where it all goes wrong for us. But then came the Jewish Relief Act of 1858 that dropped the word Christian from the oath. And so Jews could then become MPs and work in the higher of the offices of the military and the civil service where similar oaths were required. If that law was still in place, we would not now be having the problems we're having. But who was the man who started the ball rolling? Any guesses? No, you do know. You do, if you think about it. It was one Lionel de Rothschild. And what that family wants, that family gets. In another video, I will give you the details on the Home Office and the Crown Prosecution Service, and how both have now been quietly infiltrated over the last few decades to the detriment of the true British people, and the reason why we have a two-tier justice system. I bid you good morning, gentlemen. You have been listening to Paul Morris and the Voice of the British Resistance. Thank you.